You are listening to Beyond the Wheel, a podcast about the people and ideas that drive the RV community forward.
Looking to get out there and stay out there? Battleborn Batteries lithium-ion batteries are here to power your RV, marine, and off-grid adventures. Designed as an easy drop-in replacement for traditional lead-acid batteries, these reliable solutions have 2 to 3 times the power, charge 5 times faster, are a fifth of the weight, and last 10 times longer. Offered in a variety of models in unique sizes and shapes, ranging from 50 amp hour to a robust 270 amp hour. And backed by a 10-year warranty. Battleborn batteries are built to fit your needs and power your experiences. On the road, on the water, and off the grid, reliable power is here. Check them out at battlebornbatteries.com.
I love when we have returning guests, and today, our guests are both performing a hat trick. We have Nell from Fantasy RV Tours and Scott from Adventure Genie. They are here to tell us all about their new partnership, and as Scott points out, this is more than just their sites directing you to one another. This is an integration of 2 sites working together. You will now be able to use Adventure Genie to get to your fantasy RV tour trip, then have the time of your life on that trip, then get back home or on your way to your next trip using Adventure Genie services. Well, that's enough talking from me. Let's get these two on the show and get this episode started.
Hi, Nell and Scott. Thanks for joining us today. Can you each introduce yourselves and tell us about your role at your particular company? And I guess, Nell, we'll start with you.
Yes, thank you, Sean. Nell Villager here with Fantasy RV Tours. I am the founder and the CEO of the company.
And Scott?
Yeah. Hey, Sean and Nell, good to be with you again. I'm Scott Lengel. I am one of the co-founders of Adventure Genie and am the CEO currently.
And we have you guys on today to talk about the partnership that is going on right now with Adventure Genie and Fantasy RV Tours. But before we get a little too far into this episode, I just wanted to kind of bring something up, and something that you guys are also doing together. We're recording this the week of Milton, the hurricane, and just 2 weeks after Helene. You guys decided to contribute to a relief fund that were affected by the storm. Could you kind of elaborate on that a little bit more? Because we want to kind of highlight, that's a great thing that you guys are doing. And before we jump into the episode, we wanted to, thank you for doing this. But could you also tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, we started this over the past few days. It's really all coming together very, very quickly. As we're recording this, we're at the Airstream rally right now in Sedalia, Missouri, and we drove through South Carolina and a little bit of the Carolinas and Georgia and Tennessee, and came through some of the devastation from the prior hurricane. And it really hit home with us, kind of remembering that there's a lot of folks out there that are being impacted, that, not only folks that are in RVs, traveling in RVs, live in RVs, have campgrounds that are impacted, but of course, a lot of other folks that aren't even connected with the RV industry. And we thought that there's probably a way that we could give back to this community. So during this month of October, maybe it will go longer, but we're contributing a portion of all of our new subscriptions to the Hurricane Relief Fund that's being orchestrated through Samaritan's Purse. And I know Nell is generously contributing to it as well, and may want to take a moment to chat about that.
Well, we are matching what Adventure Genie donates. So it's on you, Scott. We're doing easy stuff. We're just matching, but we're going to do our best to get some new members, some new subscribers to Adventure Genie as well, especially for the remainder of this month and probably on into November. I mean, it's not going to go away for a long time. They have so many needs there. And I just spent a week with a friend of mine who has a home there, and it was completely wiped out. And she can't go back she doesn't know when. Yeah.
And to Nell's point of it likely going on for a while, my wife Lisa and I are kind of new to the RV community. We've only been doing it really since COVID is when we started RVing, but we understand that in past hurricane efforts like this, that the RV community really stepped up and started contributing in the days, weeks, and months after in helping with whatever needs were out there. And we think that we have something that we can offer here in Adventure Genie. We're an AI-based trip planner, and people are planning their routes, maybe to some great tours being offered by Fantasy and getting back home. But we're expecting that we're going to find a way to integrate opportunities to contribute your time along the route. So we're in the early days of thinking that through, but we expect this is going to go on for a while, and we all want to help the best we can.
Yeah, and our RVers are perfect for going to these communities and helping because a lot of us are self-contained. We have solar and all that stuff, so we don't need a lot of power, and we can bring our own water. So it really is an opportunity to give back, especially to some of these campgrounds that just got totally wiped out. Need a lot of help, just cleaning up and getting back to being able to be open. So that's really cool. I thank you guys for doing that.
Yep.
This partnership that you guys have, how did it get started? Did you guys meet like at an RV event and start talking, or how did this come about?
Scott?
You remember where we met now? we
Well,
met.
Tucson?
Yeah, it was
No,
Tucson. In
it
fact,
was, but not this past year, 2 years
yeah,
before,
yeah,
2021
yeah.
in Tucson, at the FMCA National
At the
Convention.
at
Yeah.
the FMCA, and from our perspective, fantasy is it. We're all about innovation and first of, and honestly, we were quite intimidated here at Adventure Genie. You go to one of these seminars, you go to FMCA and some of the other big rallies, and Fantasy has the largest booth.
Yeah.
They have the most folks there to help people, and it's kind of intimidating. And I remember now, way back when in Adventure Genie, boy, someday wouldn't it be nice to partner up with Fantasy RV Tour? So that was always kind of on our horizon.
Yes. Well, and it took maybe another year to maybe start talking about what the synergy might be. And we were feeling like, well, we really don't want people to do it on their own. We want to be the host. And is competition? Can it be enhanced? And then, I got a lot more familiar with AI and the platform that's Adventure Genie has. And it's like, I think it can be enhanced. And we just solidified the actual partnership. In August?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We barely rolled it out, but we're very close for a full phase one rollout.
Mm-hmm.
And we're excited.
Yeah, we're very excited, and I know that Nell and Fantasy is very particular about who they associate with and partner with. So we're thrilled that we're part of that family, and we have a lot of joint customers, and it's kind of clear that there's a lot. I think there's folks that want to have it all planned out for them and curated and make it easy on them to enjoy the adventure. And again, we all know Fantasy is the leader in that market, and some of those folks might want to do some things on their own from time to time. So we think that this partnership, we're finding unique ways to bring the best of both worlds. Even if all you ever do is take these trips, these tours through Fantasy, you still have to get to the beginning and you still have to get home. And we know that Adventure Genie can do a great job at helping with that part of the trip planning. But we think there's a whole lot more. and
More,
or
yes. We,
yeah.
over the years, especially before the good GPSs and so much of the technology was available, readily available and easy to use, customers were always, well, how can you help us with our trip route to get, we live in Florida and we've got to go all the way to Alaska. And now we've got, it's going to take us 2 weeks to get up there and then 2 weeks to get back. And we have to book all these campgrounds. And then the internet progressed and all of that happened over the years. But it still made a lot of sense, even though it has progressed. I think Scott platform, Adventure Genie, is a step ahead any of the other ones out there. And when I say when we partner with someone, we bring it into our culture in our company. And when I say we, I mean us, AG and Fantasy. Um, the one stop for planning your trip, being able to make your campground reservations right on the platform, and then getting to the destination to start your fantasy tour. I think it's very unique. And I think that there's a big need for that. People still just want to show up and have it all taken care of them. Then they might end the fantasy tour and then perhaps they want to extend and go to a geographical area that makes sense and spend some time. And they can be assisted with points of interest and campgrounds, all of that by being a subscriber to Adventure Genie.
I think this partnership makes a lot of sense. I think when the idea was first pitched to Sean and I think I thought to myself, I was like, I don't know, they seem so similar but different at the same time. I was like, oh, I wonder how they will work this and blend this together. So, and then when I heard that it was, Adventure Genie getting you to the Fantasy RV tour and then getting you back home, I was like, geez, why am I so slow that I couldn't put that together myself?
Well, Kenny, let me give you another scenario. Let's suppose I'm taking a coast to coast trip and I'm going from South Carolina out to the Pacific Northwest. And you were using Adventure Genie to plot your course. And Adventure Genie recognized that as you were going through South Dakota, we knew the kind of things that you like to do, the kind of side trips that you like to take. And what if right in the middle of you planning your own trip going through South Dakota, we said, hey, by the way, would you like to take a 7-day trip to Mount Rushmore and the Badlands and Crazy Horse? You might be interested in this partner tour for the next 7 days and then go back on your merry way. We think that, there is a lot of synergy, and whether you're starting it in fantasy or you're starting it in Adventure Genie, we think there are a set of complementary services we can easily offer from the other side.
Yeah, this is
Yes.
great. I'm gonna throw a question out here real quick that I'm very curious about because Sabrina and I last year did the Baja whale watching tour with Fantasy RV Tour, and it's a trip that Sabrina and I will remember for as long as we can. I mean, it was almost life changing and just a bucket list and felt like just this huge once in a lifetime type of trip. Does Adventure Genie, well, you know what? It wouldn't even matter. I take it back because we start in the US and then travel, we meet Fantasy RV Tour in the US and then we travel to Mexico with them. For some reason I was thinking that we met you in Mexico and that's not how the trip went. So my question was going to be, does Adventure Genie work in Mexico?
Actually, a great question. At the time of this recording, we focus on the lower 48. But again, a great hopping off point for some of these tours that you can take through fantasy, because we can get you through the lower 48 to get you to the beginning of these tours, at which point fantasy takes you on your way.
Okay, very cool.
I just have to say, I just thought of a term because I work most of my work is actually in healthcare, and we have this term in healthcare called concierge medicine, and it's kind of like catering to the patient, very high-end sort of healthcare that they kind of guide you through the whole thing. And this is kind of like concierge RVing, because from the time you walk out your door, you finish your trip, to the time you get back in your door, between the two of you, I mean, everything is taken care of. I mean, even with fantasy RV tours, meals and everything are taken care of. So this really is kind of like concierge RVing. But to the consumer, can you kind of explain what this partnership does for them?
Go ahead, Scott.
For starters, as a fantasy customer, whether you're I should use the right marketing terminology. What do you call your users? The users of fantasy now.
Yes, your
Yes,
guests.
I knew it wouldn't be customer. All right, the fantasy guest. We have a set of tiered services, and depending on whether you're a past guest with fantasy or a new guest or a current guest who hasn't yet taken their tour, we offer them access to Adventure Genie. And probably the best service is for new guests of fantasy. We're going to give a complimentary 12-month pro subscription to Adventure Genie to do all of these things that we've been talking about: get you to the beginning of the tour, get you home, give you ideas along the way, and find campgrounds that are outside of all the things that fantasy is already giving you. So we're just, I like that term, full concierge service. We are kind of
Yes.
completing it here.
Yeah, concierge genie.
Genie, here we go.
I have
With the
a question
personal,
when you say a new guest. So Nell can attest to this. Sabrina and I plan our fantasy RV trips sometimes a year, 2 years in advance. Somebody that has been maybe waiting for their trip to start, that's been on the guest list, and we're a month, maybe we're a year out before that trip actually starts. Would we be considered new a new a new guest, or would we be not be considered a new guest because we booked the trip a year ago? Like, would we get the service of the Adventure Genie?
That's a very good question.
Okay.
So when you book a tour, I don't know, are you on a future tour or right now, Kenny?
Yes, we
Do you have
have
something
the
for the
Rocky
future?
Point. Yep, we're actually on
Oh,
a waiting
okay.
list for the Rocky Point.
Okay, okay. So at the time of, we will be offering a special offer. I believe it's a 6 month free trial for folks who are already on booked on a future tour.
Okay.
Now, let's say you booked another tour, you were booking it today, you would receive a 12-month, the pro plan, complimentary membership. And then if, say, your tour departed in, say, a year and a half and you hadn't renewed it yourself, then you'll get another 6 month complimentary so that you can have it on traveling to the rendezvous point of your tour, and you can have it during the tour. We believe that it's very there's a great value in you to both the fantasy guest and feeding the AI more for AG is very valuable, that the customers are also using it on the tour during the tour as well, even though we have a very detailed trip log, which is oftentimes better than a GPS.
Hmm.
I think that Adventure Genie's platform and everything that's on there will complement all of that during a tour.
now you mentioned something there that I think is incredibly important. I'm a software guy. I've always been a software guy. I love technology, and now AI is kind of our specialty. But I'll be the first to admit there's nothing that substitutes what humans, real live people with experience have. And even with our AI and Adventure Genie, we make some pretty darn good recommendations and suggestions, but they are no substitute for people that have done this and have years of experience. So that's another reason why this partnership, I think, is so important to us, because we could couple the cool new AI suggestions and we'll get it pretty darn good, and then you couple it with the great years of experience from these guides and the IP that Nell and her team have put together.
Yeah, I gotta say, I've taken 4 fantasy RV tours so far. They have all been fantastic, and the ambassadors that Nell has put in place for these groups have been always going above and beyond to make sure that Sabrina and myself and everybody on the tour is not only having a great time, but they're there to ask questions. They help us throughout the trip. If there is a free day or anything that was unplanned, we can go to them and say, hey, we were thinking about hanging back at the campground, but maybe we would like to go out and try a restaurant. And they've done the trip a few times that they can recommend restaurants and tell us about their experience at that restaurant and suggest places that maybe we want to try. The fantasy RV trips do have a very personal itinerary and a very just a fantastic layout, to the point that we kind of just show up and everything is taken care of for us. And I think that is that personal touch that those ambassadors add to the trips.
Our goal is to, of course, as we roll this out, is for all of our ambassadors, our tour leaders, in their personal travels in their RV, as well as during the tour, to use Adventure Genie again, using AI, and because we just want to keep making it better and better and better. And with AI, I guess you can do it. I'm learning a lot of things and watching some podcasts about AI. It's scary, but I'm embracing it. Even, I'm probably old enough to be your mother or grandmother, your grandmother, all of you, but I'm embracing it, and it's very exciting.
So that's great to hear that the ambassadors will be using the Adventure Genie too. So somebody that has a question, they'll be able to turn to the adventure or the ambassadors and ask for help with the Adventure Genie. Is there a learning curve to it, Scott? Like if somebody, not really all that tech savvy, if they picked up the app for the Adventure Genie and they wanted to start to plan their trip to their fantasy RV tour, would they be able to just do it on their own? Is there somebody that they can call before the trip starts to help them walk through it? Do you guys offer videos on a how-to?
Lot to unpack there, Kenny.
Sorry.
Let's start with so we're looking at a pretty decent software integration here to make it as easy as possible for the full user experience. So whether you're starting on the fantasy website or on the Adventure Genie website, that we're going to link the two together, so it's going to be as seamless as possible, and you really won't even know. So we'll start with that. But once you get into the Adventure Genie software specifically and around the AI, one thing I want to offer is we're going to be doing a bunch of cross training with Nell's ambassadors and other representatives of fantasy. The idea with any AI system where you're using natural language is to make it as user friendly and as flexible as possible. So other tools that you may have used in the past, you have to meticulously find the feature and point and click and deep in a menu item to figure out what you're trying to do. With Adventure Genie, we have a feature called the Personal Genie, and it's just type in whatever you're looking to do. And if we know that you're coming from booking a fantasy tour, we'll know where your starting point likely is, your home, let's say, where the starting point for that tour is, and we'll just do it for you. And when you're looking to do things in Adventure Genie, we want to make it so that you could just tell us what you're trying to do and we'll figure it out. So instead of going to like a help button that says, how do I create a trip or how do I add a stop? You just say, I'd like to start from home. I want to go through Amarillo, and I'm taking this tour out of the Pacific Northwest, so you do it all for me. We continually strive to make the interface as simple and easy as possible so that you just tell us a little bit and the software will figure out what you're trying to do and then tie it into what, the end goal of what you're trying to accomplish. And if it's a fantasy tour, we have a lot of information from that tour. We know what you're trying to do and where you're going. So it should be minimal input that you need to give to the system to complete the journey.
You can put in there your interest. And so it could be that you want to stop at wineries on the way up to the Pacific Northwest, and or you like breweries, or you want to go golfing, or you like to go to quilt stores or museums, and all of that can be incorporated into the points of interest and what you're interested in.
Yeah, and getting to and from the beginning and end of the tour for sure. And if you have a down day on the tour, you can add this in and go and do it on your own.
So you mentioned that it's the pro plan that's being offered. Can you kind of tell us the difference between the pro plan and the other plans that are offered, and what the benefit is to the pro plan as far as fantasy RV tours goes?
Yeah, we have two plans: a completely free plan and the pro plan. The free plan is meant to try out Adventure Genie, play around with it a little bit, have some number of stops. But if you're really planning a trip, you want access to the full AI. You want to be able to save an unlimited number of trips. And most importantly, there's a feature that we call the Genie Match. The Genie Match is the percent likelihood that a campground would be a good match for you. So this wouldn't come into play on the campgrounds that Nell and her team have already figured out are a great match for that particular tour, but the campgrounds that you might stop at to get to the beginning and the end, you would use this feature called Genie Match that essentially you say, find me the best campground at the stops along the way to get to the beginning of the tour. And that type of technology where we tell you with a percent likelihood how good a match it's going to be for you based on what we know about you and what we know about campgrounds. A feature like that would be in the pro plan. So we feel, Nell and I feel, it's really important that we give those advanced feature to the fantasy RV tour guests.
And then I'm guessing for Nell and the fantasy RV tour side of things, this helps their guests smooth out a trip, getting to and after the trip. For Adventure Genie side of things, is this a way to maybe get Adventure Genie in the face of people that maybe would not have even thought to search out your app or your program, Scott? Is this a way just to kind of broaden your reach, so to speak? Like you said, when you were at the FMCA show and you go to one of the that vendor hall, and Fantasy RV Tours has a corner block of that of that event. They're very well known. I think everybody knows Fantasy RV Tours who RVs anyway.
Yes, of course. We want as many people as possible on the Adventure Genie platform using our software to help them in their trip planning. And yes, of course, we believe that the partnership with Fantasy will give us greater exposure. Yes, of course. And also, we believe that existing users of Adventure Genie that might not even know about the concept of taking a structured tour, that we can provide our users a better experience with, hey, by the way, yeah, when you're going through the Mississippi, you can go to all these stops on your own, or by the way, take the pressure off. Why don't you hook up with one of these tours? So we think that there's value add in offering these great tours to folks that usually plan their trips on their own.
So the fantasy RV tour trips will be kind of incorporated into Adventure Genie?
Over time, yes. And we're
Okay.
going to start with a small set of fantasy tours, and we'll slowly bring them into Adventure Genie, which will inspire Adventure Genie users say, oh, that's a pretty cool trip and it looked pretty well structured. Somebody must have thought long and hard about this, and we will give them an ability to easily get into the fantasy ecosystem to take those trips. Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, it will feel seamless where they can actually make their reservation right on Adventure Genie platform, and then they are seamlessly kind of rolled into our pipeline and treated just like they signed up on our website, the same. They get all the customer service and all of that. And we kind of know the tours that are based on seasons where the Adventure Genie user with some historical data, and we'll be getting more and more of that well, these 4 months the majority are all asking about whatever the Western National Parks, whatever it might be, or the fall colors in New England. And we know that would be maybe a real good tour to offer 2 years out or a year out. We have some really good data to work with. We're not going to second guess this, so that's exciting. I live by data. I know, of course, the whole world does, and especially Scott, with being a software person. But it's exciting to know that, and we don't have to second guess. Well, I wonder what the Adventure Genie subscribers where they want to go, in the middle of winter or in summer. Well, kind of already know.
No.
And it's just that the more subscribers we get, the better data that we will have on that.
Yeah, I think the data will definitely help inform maybe if there's new trips even that you want to offer, if there's a great demand for certain areas and you can develop expertise like with your ambassadors. That's incredible. I mean, it sounds great for both sides.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we agree.
Yeah, I think the RV community is very lucky to have you guys in it, because you guys, both Nell and Scott, you both RV. You guys are RVers, and I think your products, your businesses are in place because you want RVers to enjoy the RV experience as much as you do. You want everybody to have a fun time in their RV. So I think you guys are great for the industry, but I think your guys are just great for the consumer as well. So it's great to hear this partnership, and I'm glad that Scott, you walked over and started that conversation with them.
It's a little intimidating. And then you get to know Nell, and she's like the best ever.
Yeah, very down to earth.
That, but my saying is, you do something long enough, you get really good at it. 33 years is a long time, but I'm still having fun.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how sometimes things come full circle, and it's like, oh yeah, we tried that about 20 years ago or 15 and it didn't work. And then it's like, well, let's resurrect that. And it's like, then it's a hit, and it's a very fun industry. I mean, travel, everybody on earth wants to travel.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how you travel. It's just, a wonderful thing that we do in our life. And to think that I've been in the travel business all these years, I feel very fortunate, very blessed, and I still have a lot of passion for the industry.
Yeah, I would just want to add on to something that Sean had brought up, where he had said, you'll be able to track this information, know if maybe there's a new area that Fantasy RV could be adding an extra tour to. Now, because I know right now from speaking to the ambassadors from other trips that they go out, you guys almost do like a little mock-up tour to see, what to do, what to see, how would it flow, how many days to spend in certain areas. Would your ambassadors now that go out and survey an area for a trip, would they now be using the Adventure Genie to help them along and plan, maybe not plan the trip, but maybe just personally use that to help them survey an area?
Yes, absolutely. Right now, we're in the middle of our first Route 66 tour. And we're running it from Chicago. We started it maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and we're going to end in Santa Monica.
Oh, very
And
cool.
our tour leaders are using it. And then next year, we're running it in reverse as well. It's a 100th anniversary for the Mother Road for Route
Oh, is it?
66. And so the anniversary is in the fall, and as soon as we rolled that out, people, signed up for it. So we're going to be running it in reverse. And that's not always easy. So our staff coming back from there will be scouting it a little bit in reverse, because you can't just say, well, we already do that from coast to coast practically. Well, from the Midwest, it's very different when you run things in reverse.
Right.
And then we added a new type of a bourbon trail, follow the bourbon trail in Kentucky, and we used the Adventure Genie to help us with that a lot. And not only out on the road, but you can use it when we already know the area, because we have tours in Tennessee and Kentucky and that whole corridor. We already know the area and some of the campgrounds, but we don't know everything. And so from Adventure Genie, Stacy Raybung, our chief operations officer, you can actually use it and sit behind the desk. And so she's saying, yeah, I used it for our new addition to our Bourbon Trail area tour. So, yes, and that will just continue to evolve as we move forward.
Oh, very cool.
With this partnership, is it live now? If I'm looking at signing up for a fantasy RV tour today or tomorrow, will this option be available to me?
We at the time of this taping, we predict that at the time of this airing, yes, it will be live, and if not exactly on that date, it will have either just gone live or will just go live very, very shortly. But that's about the time frame. Yes.
Okay, so definitely coming soon.
We're doing an interface of our platform and AG's and vice versa. And there's a lot of technical parts to that. Scott knows better than I do, but
Yeah, no, well put. There is software integration that is going on here. This is not just a marketing announcement. It's not just websites that point to each other. There is software integration that we are actively have developed and are going through the testing phases of right now.
So this is
yes,
a deep partnership. So are you guys looking at this as a long-term partnership?
absolutely.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, yes.
We don't go into partnerships lightly. We have over the years some alliances. It's like we are since 2011, we have been the exclusive RV tour provider for FMCA members. And we're in it for the long haul. I was telling Scott when we were having discussions and about to, you know, sign on the dotted line thing, that we take it very seriously, and that it becomes part of the culture we bring everybody into it. If they're on the phones, or they're an admin at the office, they're out in the field, they're working a show, we give them very good support training, and they know that when we roll out something like this, it's part of our culture.
Yeah, that's great. It's great too that you guys are so hands-on, I would say too, with the companies. That you guys are the ones actually, starting those conversations and getting the ball rolling. That you're not just, I don't know, sitting back and letting everything kind of run itself. Or, yeah, I think this is a great partnership. I think you guys are going to do really well together.
It's a changing world, and we want to be part of the change, and try to be leaders as we move forward with AI. That's how fantasy feels. And our hats off to Scott and his team for being so cutting edge on AI and applying it to the RV industry. We're very thankful for that.
Yeah, thanks all. Yeah, we're pretty excited about it, and new user, I think Kenny, it was you that mentioned it earlier. We are RVers. We're here in it. We understand what we're doing this to make lives easier, better, have folks gain better experiences while they're traveling. So we get it, and we love to see our customers and our guests and our users that are having a good time while doing it. I mean, it's very fulfilling.
Yeah. And now I have a question for you on the training side of things. Is every ambassador going through some type of Adventure Genie training? I think you did say that. How many ambassadors do you currently have? Like, how many people are we talking about that needs to go through training and get updated on this new program?
Well, between our tour leaders, our ambassadors, and our office staff, about 100. Actually, it's more than that if it's a couple. So it would be about 170. And Scott is going to be coming to Las Vegas. We have advanced training where all company tour leaders and office staff will be there in February, and we'll have training before then, but then we'll have extensive training, hands-on, and talk about using it, get your customers to use it, and to really expand our efforts. So we're excited about that.
Cool.
It sounds like you guys have thought of a lot of stuff. Very deep thought on this.
We're trying to think. Nell and I are both planners, and think through as many angles as we possibly can to make sure we have our bases covered.
Now, will you guys do any future shows together? I know you both attend, obviously FMCA, and will you guys partner in person as well at a show?
We're going to try to do that, and I think at the upcoming convention, FMCA convention, I think in Perry, hopefully we're going to have side-by-side booths.
Oh,
And yes, we're going to do that when it's possible to do that.
that's great. Okay, very cool.
And we tend to do a lot of the same rallies and conventions, and sometimes different ones. So, for instance, we're at the Airstreamers rally right now. Adventure Genie is, and we've been sure to evangelize the fact that we're partnered with Fantasy and have some upcoming stuff. So whether we're doing the conventions and rallies together, or we just happen to be at the same rally or side by side, we're very clearly cross promoting this collaboration.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. So a true partnership then. That's awesome. Well, I think that's all of our questions. Unless there's something that we might have missed, maybe something that we should have highlighted that Sean or I kind of glossed over, you guys, or we could say goodbye from here.
I think we covered it. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, I think we covered it pretty well. Another
Yeah.
great conversation.
Yes, you guys do a great job. Thank you for inviting us.
We appreciate you guys coming on the show and sharing this information. Like I said before, I've had many conversations with Nell. I've had many conversations with Scott, both on air, off air. I think both of you guys, like I said earlier, are great for the RV community. I'm excited to see where this goes. And I think this is going to be just a perfect partnership for the RV consumer. So I'm excited about it. So thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks to Nell and Scott for coming on the show. Fantasy RV Tours and Adventure Genie are two of our favorite companies in the RV industry, so their partnership is really exciting. As always, thanks to Battleborn Batteries for their sponsorship of the show. They are a great company, and we encourage you to check out their website when shopping for your electronic and power needs. Thanks for listening. If you could please leave us a rating or a review on your podcast platform of choice, it really helps the show. We will see you in 2 weeks with a new episode. Safe travels.
Looking to get out there and stay out there? Battleborn Batteries lithium-ion batteries are here to power your RV, marine, and off-grid adventures. Designed as an easy drop-in replacement for traditional lead-acid batteries, these reliable solutions have 2 to 3 times the power, charge 5 times faster, are a fifth of the weight, and last 10 times longer. offered in a variety of models in unique sizes and shapes, ranging from 50 amp hour to a robust 270 amp hour, and backed by a 10-year warranty. Battleborn batteries are built to fit your needs and power your experiences. On the road, on the water, and off the grid, reliable power is here. Check them out at battlebornbatteries.com. With the complexity of all the systems in an RV, I always say it's not if something's going to break, but a matter of when is something going to break. That is why I think an extended warranty for RVs is so important. We first interviewed wholesale warranties back in 2019 and immediately became impressed with how their policies worked, such as you can take your RV to any licensed repair shop, including mobile repairs. They also have personalized service plans, making sure you are getting the right policy for your needs. And if you think your RV is too old for a policy, you might be surprised to hear that RVs up to 20 years old can still be approved for a policy. That is more age lenient than most RV parks I've stayed at. Go to wholesalewarranties.com/beyond the wheel or click the link down below in our show notes to get your free quote today.